The truth about Epson bottled ink that no one is talking about. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this video. Hey, what is going on? The printer guy here, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about Epson bottled ink and whether you are actually saving money by going the route of getting an Epson EcoTank printer. If this video ends up being helpful, please make sure to like the video. Any questions at all, comment below, and if you want more content like this, please make sure to subscribe. Now, there will be video chapters down below this video, so you can skip around in this video if you need to. Everyone's always talking about how the Epson EcoTank printers will save you money on ink. But is that really true, or is that claim starting to fade a little bit here over time? Here's what nobody's telling you about those little bottles of ink. The Epson EcoTank lineup is advertised as a cost-effective and cartridge-free printer, which it is. These Epson EcoTank printers have been advertised in this way where you're going to save money and it's going to be a lot less expensive to buy bottled inks versus cartridges that you previously would have to pay $50, $100 for. But quickly, the cost of these bottled inks with the Epson EcoTank lineup are slowly starting to get back up to that price point. So the question now arises, are you actually saving money with this bottled ink from Epson specifically? Because initially the ink did start out really inexpensively. It was not to these levels of $50, $75. The price in the ink has jumped drastically, and we are now at about $75 if you want black and all of the colors. So that's black, cyan, magenta, and yellow. And so here is the secret, is that Epson is charging these high prices, and if you walk into the store, Walmart, Target, Office Depot, wherever you walk into your big box store, you're going to see this really high price point for bottled ink. And they have been slowly and steadily increasing the price. Now, the cost per milliliter is still low compared to cartridges, but many of those bottles are starting to contain less ink than people realize. There's also the disclaimers that Epson has in regards to, depending on your consumption and your usage, that claim of big savings and not having to use all these cartridges is really going to depend on your usage and how you utilize the printer. So is Epson still claiming that you get freedom from these cartridges, but you still are now having to pay the price? In other words, you went away from cartridges because you were paying so much money, and now the price is steadily increasing, and I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years if that price would increase further and you would be paying maybe $100 to $125. You're already at about $75. That is expensive for ink. And of course, most of you will utilize the Epson based ink, and you will not stray away from Epson based ink because of the warranty and the provisions within the warranty and the stipulations within the warranty that stop you from using third-party ink. Because if you use third-party ink, you will void your warranty. If you use sublimation ink, you use a third-party brand like Best Printers, you will void your warranty. So you will avoid using these third-party inks for that reason. But there's a psychological effect that's happening here. There is a brand loyalty that is fear-driven with Epson. And when you have that, Epson can throw in their warranty stipulations or in their warranty fine print that if you use third-party cartridges, or rather bottled ink, or any third-party ink outside of Epson, you will damage your printer. But the printers and the technology itself does not require a certain brand of ink. It simply requires a certain type of ink, and that is dye-based ink or pigmented-based ink. As soon as you find out which one of those your Epson EcoTank uses, you can most definitely use a third-party brand like Best Printers. Products linked down in the description below for the various types of Epson EcoTank printers. But whether it's Best Printers or another brand on Amazon, or out there really on Amazon, that's where you're gonna find a lot of the really good prices, you are going to have a big cost savings. You're gonna pay between $15 to maybe $30 for a third-party brand. Right now, Best Printers Universal 502, 522 ink goes between $19.99 and $25. Now that is a really big amount of savings when you compare to Epson's prices. But again, the fear-driven brand loyalty will cause you to not not use this third-party ink, Best Printers ink, because you will void your warranty. A question that I brought in another video is, how can Epson test whether Best Printers ink or Epson ink is in the printer? In other words, without any packaging, without any knowledge from the consumer stating whether they used third-party or Epson ink, if they were to take a printer and test the ink, would they know if it was a third-party ink or if it was Epson ink? And there is no way, because there is no secret formula that Epson is using. Dye-based ink is simply dye-based ink. All the components that go into dye-based ink or pigmented ink in those bottled containers is the same whether it's third-party or Epson. If you're simply paying for the brand, because if the product, the ink inside is the same, then why would you need to use Epson branded ink? Especially when you're cartridge free, meaning that there's no chip involved. Back before bottled ink, you had to use cartridges, and the different companies, HP, Epson, Canon, they could change the chip software on there and therefore make all of the third-party ink cartridges incompatible with your printer, and that was one way of controlling that. Now with bottled ink, they have no way of controlling or stopping you from using that third-party ink. Now, I have run several tests and experiments with the Epson EcoTank printer, and I have used Epson ink and I have used Best Printer ink. Again, link down in the description below for both of those types of inks. So you can see on the one hand Epson's prices, and you can check out Best Printer's prices as well. I will say, once you choose one or the other, I would say to stick with those, although mixing probably is okay, unless you find that there is an ingredient that is different between one or two of them. There may be a percentage difference, but at the end of the day, dye-based ink is going to use the same industry standard formulation. But is the quality difference different? Or is there a difference between the quality and the real world usage? The best way I know how to test that is by printing photos. So here are some of the photos that I was able to print, one with Epson ink, the other with Best Printers ink, and you can really tell the difference. I did not see any difference. They are virtually the same quality that I got with Epson is what I got with Best Printers ink, and the cost was so much lower. And so with those third-party inks, you're really able to actually save a lot of money. Now, the Epson EcoTank overall uses a lot of ink. It consumes a lot of ink. And so having a lower cost option is very important. Now, I will say with confidence that you will not get any errors by using a third-party branded ink. There will not be any damage caused to your printer by using third-party ink, as long as you are purchasing from a reputable seller. If you're purchasing from a shady seller that is not US based, I cannot really speak to those sellers, but what I can speak to is the product that we sell here at Best Printers, and that it is compatible, that I have tested it, that I have used it, and that it is a good product and fully compatible with the Epson EcoTank lineups. Now, Epson ink, of course, is a high quality ink. There is really high standards that the company has, but what I'm trying to describe here is that the same suppliers that Best Printers uses to source their product is very similar and in the same region as Epson does. In fact, Epson is mainly an Asian-based company, and so they have a lot of those resources and a lot of those suppliers come from the same region where Best Printers sources that product. And if that wasn't the case, and there were different regions and there were different manufacturers, there's a standardized formulation of ingredients that go into dye-based ink and pigmented ink. Pigmented ink you would find with the more expensive Epson EcoTanks, and dye-based is the majority of, you know, the Epson EcoTank 4850 and below that. So below that would be the Epson EcoTank 2400, that's probably the lowest, and then in between there you have the Epson EcoTank 3750, 3850, all of those models in that range really would use a dye-based ink. But I encourage you, if you have two Epson EcoTank printers available, do the test yourself. What do you have to lose? Test the viscosity, test the quality, test the performance of one ink over the other. And you can see for yourself, and then you can decide which ink you should use. Now, here at Best Printers, we are always looking to break the barriers of different products, especially with the Epson EcoTank printers and different printers as well on this channel. So if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. There are thousands of people that have benefited from the content that has been put out by this channel. If this video was helpful, please make sure to like, and if you have any questions at all, comment below. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time. Thank you so much for watching until the end of this video. I handpicked 2 videos that are here on the screen for you to watch next. Also consider subscribing to this channel. There's so much helpful content for you if you're a printer owner, and it's just good to have a resource like this for you in the future, whether you're dealing with a printer that's not printing well or you need more printer recommendations. So I look forward to seeing you again in another video.